আসি। হ্যাঁ, কি বলছো বলো। না, খোলা না। ও দাঁড়াও, দাও তো। হ্যালো।
नेताजी
तुम अपना समझो तो सही पहले क्या मीटिंग है क्या है लेके बैठ गए ना लगा के नहीं आती अपना विचार पहले लाओ उसके बाद उसका वो देखो उसके बाद एक्शन कुछ ज्यादा ही हो गया
तो बोल रही है अपनी साधना
जय हिंद, वंदन अभिनंदन।
करोड़ों हिंद।
मैं गीतिका उनियाल आप सभी का शैक्षिक संचार संकाय और अंतर विश्वविद्यालय त्वरक केंद्र की ओर से आजादी का अमृत महोत्सव इस विशेष कार्यक्रम के अंतर्गत आज ये विशिष्ट व्याख्यान लेकर आई हूं। यानी कि इस व्याख्यान के माध्यम से आज हम नेताजी सुभाष चंद्र बोस के बारे में विस्तृत रूप से चर्चा करेंगे। 125वां वर्ष है उनकी जयंती का और बहुत ही सुनहरा मौका है कि हम नेताजी पर ज्यादा से ज्यादा चर्चा करें। तो आइए इस कार्यक्रम का हिस्सा बने और उनके बारे में ज्यादा से ज्यादा बात कर, उनके बारे में ज्यादा से ज्यादा जानकर हम आम जनमानस तक उनके बारे में बताएं कि किस विशाल व्यक्तित्व के वो प्राणी थे, वो गुणी थे। ऐसे स्वतंत्रता संग्राम के नेता थे जिन्होंने ये प्रयास किया कि कैसे देश को आज़ादी दिलाई जाए। तो आइए इस कार्यक्रम के सहभागी बने और इस कार्यक्रम के माध्यम से नेताजी के बारे में ज्यादा से ज्यादा ज्ञान अर्जन करें। मैं सर्वप्रथम निमंत्रण देना चाहूंगी शैक्षिक संचार संकाय के निदेशक महोदय प्रोफेसर जगत भूषण नड्डा जी का और उनके साथ डॉक्टर पीएन प्रकाश का जो साइंटिस्ट एच हैं आईयूएसी में, कि आप दीप प्रज्वलित कर इस कार्यक्रम को आगे बढ़ाने में हमारा प्रोत्साहन बढ़ाएं। मैं आभार व्यक्त करना चाहूंगी प्रोफेसर जगत भूषण नड्डा, निदेशक शैक्षिक संचार संकाय, और डॉक्टर पीएन प्रकाश, साइंटिस्ट HIUAC का, कि आपने दीप प्रज्वलित कर हम सभी को प्रोत्साहित किया। तो आइए मित्रों, इस कार्यक्रम में सहभागिता निभाकर हम नेताजी सुभाष चंद्र बोस पर ज्यादा से ज्यादा बात करें, ज्यादा से ज्यादा चर्चा करें। आजादी का अमृत महोत्सव, प्रगतिशील भारत की आजादी के 75 साल, इसके लोग, इसकी संस्कृति, उपलब्धियां एवं इतिहास को मनाने की एक पहल है। इतिहास के स्वर्णिम पन्नों को जब भी हम पलटकर पढ़ते हैं तो आजादी के अनेक वीरों की दृढ़ता, साहस और देशभक्ति का परिचय हमें सदैव मिलता है। और ऐसे ही आजादी के एक परवाने थे नेताजी सुभाष चंद्र बोस। कुछ ही समय पहले आपने एक गीत सुना। आप सभी को बताना चाहेंगे कि ये गीत कैप्टन राम सिंह ठाकुर जी ने लिखा, और आजाद हिंद फौज के जितने भी गाने थे वो कैप्टन राम सिंह ठाकुर ही लिखा करते थे। तो आइए पुनः इस गीत को सुनते हैं, देखते हैं और इस कार्यक्रम में अपनी सहभागिता निभाते हैं। इस कार्यक्रम के माध्यम से नेताजी सुभाष चंद्र बोस के योगदान को आइए हम आत्मसात करने की कोशिश करते हैं कि किस प्रकार उन्होंने भारत की आजादी में अपना अहम योगदान दिया। तो इस क्लिप के माध्यम से हम अपने कार्यक्रम को आगे बढ़ाते हैं। आज का दिन भारतीय इतिहास में अमिट छाप छोड़ गया, क्योंकि आज ही के दिन यानी कि 6 मई 1943 को नेताजी सुभाष चंद्र बोस ने सबमरीन द्वारा सुमात्रा और साबांग पहुंचकर 88 दिन की यात्रा को पूर्ण किया था। इस यात्रा की शुरुआत हुई थी जर्मनी के कील फोर्ट से 8 फरवरी के दिन। यह यात्रा मात्र एक यात्रा नहीं थी, अपितु योजनाओं, उद्देश्यों को पूर्ण करने की यात्रा थी। नतीजतन आजाद हिंद फौज, रानी लक्ष्मीबाई रेजिमेंट का गठन करने की यात्रा। जानती हूं आप सभी जिज्ञासुओं को यही सोचकर आतुरता हो रही होगी कि वो क्या और योजनाएं थी जो नेताजी सुभाष चंद्र बोस ने अपनी इस यात्रा के दौरान बनाई और उनको कार्यान्वित भी किया। आप सभी से साझा करना चाहूंगी कि आज 2 अहम विषयों पर हम आपके लिए ये व्याख्यान लेकर आए हैं, जहां आप नेताजी के जीवन के अनछुए पहलुओं पर नजर डाल पाएंगे, समझ पाएंगे, पढ़ पाएंगे और जिज्ञासु जन अपनी जिज्ञासा को पूर्ण भी कर पाएंगे। हमारे आज के विषय हैं भारत माता की स्वाधीनता के लिए नेताजी सुभाष चंद्र बोस की अद्वितीय सबमरीन यात्रा एवं विशेषता, और दूसरा विषय है नेताजी, आजाद हिंद फौज एंड फ्रीडम मूवमेंट, इट्स रेलेवेंस फॉर मेकिंग भारत एज विश्व गुरु। आप सभी से साझा करना चाहती हूँ इन व्याख्यानों के लिए हमारे साथ इस विशिष्ट कार्यक्रम में हमारे साथ मौजूद हैं। सर्वप्रथम आपको बताना चाहूंगी प्राध्यापक सुभजीत चौधरी, भारतीय प्रौद्योगिकी संस्थान IITG गुवाहाटी। ये एक इतिहास अध्येता हैं। सूचना साक्षरता, स्वास्थ्य साक्षरता, भारतीय स्वतंत्रता संग्राम, मान्यता, प्रथाओं और जन जागरण में ये नित्य प्रति कार्य करते रहते हैं। आप महासचिव हैं भारतीय इतिहास संकलन समिति असम में। और हमारे दूसरे विशिष्ट मेहमान हैं कर्नल कुणाल भट्टाचार्य। ये एक सेवानिवृत्त भारतीय सेना अधिकारी हैं। सेवा के अलावा शिक्षा में इनका अहम योगदान रहा है। दिल्ली से इन्होंने MBA किया HR में और महाराष्ट्र से PhD किया। मॉरिशस, ओमान, महाराष्ट्र, इन शहरों के, इन राज्यों के विश्वविद्यालयों में आपने पढ़ाया भी है। 70 शोध पत्र आपके प्रकाशित हुए हैं और आपने 60 देशों की यात्रा की है। तो मैं अपने इन 2 मेहमानों का स्वागत करना चाहूंगी, अभिनंदन करना चाहूंगी और ये कहना चाहूंगी कि हमारे लिए सौभाग्य की बात है कि आज आपके माध्यम से हम नेताजी सुभाष चंद्र बोस के बारे में और अधिक जान पाएंगे, उनकी 88 दिन की सबमरीन यात्रा के बारे में विशेष रूप से जान पाएंगे और स्वतंत्रता संग्राम में कैसे उन्होंने अपना योगदान दे, हमारे इस भारत को बनाने में अपना कार्य किया, अपना योगदान दिया। तो आइए हम सर्वप्रथम आमंत्रित करना चाहते हैं कर्नल कुणाल भट्टाचार्य जी का, जो भारतीय सेना से सेवानिवृत्त है लेकिन नित्य प्रति आप कार्य कर रहे हैं और आज ये हमें बताएंगे नेताजी सुभाष चंद्र बोस की अद्वितीय सबमरीन यात्रा की विशेषताओं के बारे में। तो कर्नल कुणाल भट्टाचार्य, आपका बहुत बहुत स्वागत है।
नमस्ते सदा वत्सले मातृभूमि। The epic voyage that brought Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose onto the center stage of history, ये आज का मेरा विषय है। मेरे को 20-25 मिनट टाइम दिया गया है। मैं कोशिश करूंगा उसी के अंदर रखने का। इंग्लिश में मैं ज्यादा बोलता हूँ, हिंदी मेरा उतना अच्छा नहीं है, आप लोग क्षमा करिएगा। As India celebrates its 75th Independence Day, someone asked me, what is the difference between Gandhiji and Netaji Subhash Chandra? The concept of independence. The difference is more elite campaign of Swatantra Ka Amrit Mahotsav. That is Gandhi. And more dynamic and close to the common people is Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav is of Netaji. So the difference is very subtle. Swatantra Ka Amrit Mahotsav या आजादी का अमृत महोत्सव. It is the right time to retrace Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose's journey to Japan and its relevance for making Bharat as a Viswaguru. During the celebration of Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav, we must go back again and again to what made India a great and independent nation. We realized this nation was shaped by a special type of anti-imperial, colorful cosmopolitanism with the participations of actors as vividly different and spectacular as Mahatma Gandhi and Subhash Chandra Bose. Bose firmly believed that only an armed uprising could free India from the tyranny of the British. World War II seemed to provide an opportune moment. The UK was under attack from Japan, Germany, and Italy. Guided by his belief, you must battle against inequity, no matter what cost may be. His plan was to enlist external aid from these nations to crush British imperialism. इसका शुरू में मैं कुछ इंपॉर्टेंट डेट्स के बारे में बताना चाहता हूं। आपको सभी को मालूम है 23 जनवरी 1897 कटक में नेताजी का जन्म हुआ था। 16-17 जनवरी 1941 उन्होंने एल्गिन रोड कलकत्ता का बासभवन छोड़ के यात्रा किया था टू लीव इंडिया। In April 1941, he landed up in Berlin, and Goebbels' radio service announced India's most popular leader has arrived in Berlin to ask for Hitler's help to deliver India from to relieve India from British rule. 29th May 1942, almost after 1 year, 1 month, he met Hitler in Berlin. February 9, 1943, he left German-occupied Norway in submarine. 21st April 1943, about 400 miles southwest of Madagascar, he transferred from U-180 submarine of German to a Japanese submarine I-29. 6th May 1943, आज ही के दिन almost 79 years पहले he landed in Sabang, Sumatra, in Indonesia. After 88 days of sailing, on 11th May 1943, he met Japanese Prime Minister Tojo in Tokyo and subsequently met the Emperor Hirohito. Now, I will first tell you the Russia refused to help Netaji because Netaji from Calcutta went through Kabul, Peshawar, etc. to Russia. World War II broke out in 1939, and when the Soviet Union and Germany, subsequently Germany and Great Britain went into war, both thought that this is the time for India's independence and opportune. Both escaped from Calcutta to seek help from the Soviet Union for India's freedom. During World War II, these older Indo-German networks were once again activated. When Bose escaped from house arrest in Calcutta, dressed as a Pathan, Mr. Ziauddin in Afghanistan, he was driven by his nephew Shishir Kumar Bose to Gomo in Bihar. Now Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose, from there he traveled overland and in disguise to Peshawar, and then Soviet Union as an Italian Count Orlando Mazzotta, escorted from Afghanistan to Moscow by NKVD, or the People's Commissariat of Internal Affairs. The Soviets, however, were not interested in helping him or the cause of Indian independence. They handed him over to the Count Schulenburg, the German ambassador in Russia, under the non-aggression pact with Germany of 23rd August 1939. They did not join the war against the Nazis till Hitler invaded Soviet Union in June 1941. Now next is Netaji reached Germany, Russia. flown in a special plane to Berlin in April 1941. Bose made Foreign Minister Joachim Ribbentrop and Heinrich Himmler head of the dreaded SS force of Nazi Party's elite police corps, that is Geheim Staatspolizei, or in short form abbreviated as Gestapo. But he was not allowed to meet Hitler, as Germany was then planning to attack Russia in June 1941. He first reached Germany via Kabul, Moscow, and requested Nazi Germany for help. Germany was indifferent to him. Hitler called Bose, I quote, a big braggart of Asia who loiters around Europe. In his book, My Struggle, he wrote, "It will be better that India is ruled by Britain than any other country." Ultimately, Bose met Führer, leader and Chancellor Adolf Hitler almost 1 year on 29th May 1942, when Hitler lost in Russia. Führer was camping at the military base Chesnes in Rastenburg in distant Prussia. But the latter showed little concern and respect for the Indian freedom struggle. Despite the racist Aryan state propaganda, for being treated as a potential head of the state, Bose was seconded to an Indian special bureau run by Adam Strout and only given a comfortable villa with a staff and a chauffeur-driven car. Once in Germany, Netaji had two objectives. The first one, to set up an Indian government in exile, and the second, to create Azad Hind Fauj, the Legion Fries Indian, a force of 50,000 Indian troops, mainly from Indian prisoner of war captured by Rommel's Africa Corps. Netaji wanted them to be trained to the highest standard of the German army so that they could form an elite fighting force which would enter India from Afghanistan at the head of a combined German, Russian, Italian, Indian Army of Liberation. During the stay of Germany, Bose founded the Free India Center in Berlin, raising a small army of 4,500 soldiers called the Indian Legion, consisting of British Indian prisoner of war captured from North Africa. But the Indian Legion's plan to invade India via Afghanistan came as a cropper. Germany was unable to devote the resources to manpower to free India. Now, nor that an overland campaign through so many territories, countries, or terrains, it was simply not feasible. Reasons for move from Germany to Japan. He was held up by the German because they wanted to use him in the event of a German victory over Russia. Nazi leader was more interested in using his men to win propaganda victories than military ones. He was allowed to leave only after Germans surrendered in Stalingrad and Hitler's secret plan for India fell apart. The long journey to the Far East was very dangerous. For Netaji Subhas, the war presented a golden opportunity to reach out to Britain's adversaries, namely Germany and Japan, and seek their assistance to free India. He realized the potential of receiving crucial assistance from Imperial Japan. Beside racial prejudice, Hitler believed that Bose could be a hurdle in the path of reconciliation between Britain and Germany. Bose cooperated with Germany in its anti-British propaganda, but could not deny a sense of humiliation. Japan, on the other hand, has spectacularly successful in the Eastern Front of World War II, with the victory after sensational victory. Following the dramatic fall of Singapore on 15th February 1942, the mighty British Empire itself did not look invincible. a large number of British Indian soldiers were held captive in forced labor camps by the Japanese. In Europe, on the other hand, the tide of war began to turn against Germany. Bose therefore decided to try another strategy to approach Japan instead of Germany to help, and to invade India from east rather than west. However, Bose's 2-year stay in Berlin was frustrating. Adolf Hitler, the German Chancellor, did not receive him for the whole year after his arrival in Germany. When he did, he was frosty with Hitler, giving no assurance about backing Indian independence. Nazi leader has written right there in the book Mein Kampf that as a German would far rather see India under British domination than under that of any other nation. That means Japan. In the end, a disappointed Bose decided to leave for Japan towards the end of 1942. By then, Imperial Japan has conquered Burma, now Myanmar. In its POW camps, prisoner of war camps, tens of thousands of Indian Jawans were held captured as the power cut through the British colonies of Southeast Asia. Those Jawans were the army Bose had been looking for, and the reasons for his new journey to Japan. Amid such circumstances, Bose received an invitation from Japan thanks to Rash Bihari Bose lobbying with the Japanese government for Netaji. Bose left Germany. Now, Germany to Madagascar. On 9th of February 1943, Netaji boarded a German Unterseeboot 180 or U-180 submarine at Lobe, northern Germany. First heading towards westward across the heavily mined North Sea. His only companion was Abid Hassan Safrani. He is originally from Hyderabad and had gone to Germany to study engineering, but came under Netaji's spell, joined Indish Legion to free India. Bose and Hassan spent 2 months in the dark diesel-fumed hulk, leading Hassan to reminiscences. The fumes permeated everything. The bread we ate looked as if it was soaked in diesel oil. The blanket seems drenched with diesel. Both Bose and Hassan were confined to a small passageway. Our corner was so small, written Hassan, that if you stood erect, you got in a way of somebody on the other. This time, his vehicle was not a motor car, an aeroplane, or a train. Instead, it was a submarine U-180. Sulking low in the icy water at the mouth of Baltic Ford, Loeb at the northern tip of Germany, U-180 was a long-range submarine with the forward torpedo tube removed to create a hold for extra cargo. Its mission was to deliver diplomatic mails for the German embassy in Tokyo, blueprints of jet engines and other technical material for Japanese military. Despite the airless confinement, it was an exhilarating moment for Bose. He was meant to be writing up a new installment of his memoir, The Indian Struggle. But what occupied his mind was the future and a new scenario with the vast potential in the East. Perhaps this was when he first tested those two words, Dilli Chalo, which would seem to be never far from his lips. The motto expressed the great purpose of Bose in his final years to free India of the Raj. But it also reflects another attribute of his life, that he was hardly interpret traveler, always ready to chalo, go, to somewhere far away and hard to reach, in the hope one day arriving in free Delhi. The U-boat crew had been briefed that their passengers were engineers headed for the occupied Norway to help build reinforced submarine docks, As a result, Bose and Safrani were permitted to sit up in the sunlight in the conning towers as long as they were in the German water. Submarine set a course that took its north along the Norwegian coast and then making a turn westward to the Faroe Island. The sea was rough. The two Indians were often seasick. However, despite the airless confinement, it was an exhilarating moment for Bose. He was on the move once again, working towards fulfilling his dream of one day arriving to free Delhi. While his aides joked and groused with the crew, Bose spent much of his time reading, writing, and planning how to deal with Japanese. Now, Madagascar to Sumatra. At the dawn of April 20, 1943, 400 miles southwest of Madagascar, across the Cape of Good Hope, the U-180 rendezvoused with a Japanese submarine I-29 and exchanged signal. It was sunset above, and the location was right southwest of Madagascar, and captain of the U-180, Captain Musenberg, felt confident that this was their appointed rendezvous. Cautious, he brought U-180 to surface, where it would be hard to spot in the shadow of disappearing sun. The other vessel could not be seen. On the next day, the German sighted another submarine and exchanged flag signals with its crew. Musenberg was nervous about its fuel level and keen to complete his mission as early as possible. The ocean was rough and heaving, and almost for a day or two, they were following each other. Anyhow, the first across, when they decided to transfer, the first across the cargo, the diplomatic mail, the technical papers exchanged, for more document stores, quinine and gold ingots. Bose and Hassan packed their things and wrote a farewell note to the submarine unit's diary, thanking the crew for spoiling them as far as it had been possible. On 21st April 1943, they strapped on the life jacket, dropped in a rubber raft, and plunged into the webbing as the pitch out over the Indian Ocean. The crossing was short, only took few minutes, but it was a nautical feat without precedent in the war. The only submarine-to-submarine transfer of civilians in a hostile waters, and the microscopic symbol for a greater global shift along the same axis. For now, however, the Bose was still pulled up on the deck by the Japanese scouting submarine I-29. Its commander was Teraoka Masao. The officer celebrated for his past destruction of British flagship HMS Repulse and HMS Prince of Wales back in 1941. About I-21, Teraoka gave him his own cabin to the Indian guest. It all felt, Hassan wrote, I quote, something akin to a homecoming. Before the sail, Japanese crew gone out of shopping for Indian spices in Penang, Malaysia. Now they served Bose and Hassan a hot curry to celebrate their crossings. U-180 of German submarine could now go back to Bordeaux, France. Bose could proceed on his across the world, riding east to Sabang on the tip of Sumatra, Indonesia. He had many names so far: Mr. Ziauddin in Afghanistan, Orlando Mazzotta in Russia, Indian Adolf in Germany, and now abroad I-29, he was Mr. Matsuda. Rest of the journey passed without mishap on 6th May 1943. The I-29 reached Sabang Island in northern Sumatra, at last a solid earth under the feet. From Sabang, Bose would continue to Singapore and then to Tokyo. He would take command of INA, beginning the most admired chapter of his personal epic. He stayed in motion touring Japanese occupied Asia and to raise men and funds from the euphoric crowds of migrating Indians. On 11th May 1943, he finally reached Tokyo in Imperial Japan after a short stop in Singapore. In Tokyo, he received the support of Japanese Prime Minister Hideki Tojo, as well as Army High Command. In the coming days, he had the opportunities of meeting the Emperor Hirohito. He landed back in Singapore on 2nd July 1943. Joining and forming up INA from Rash Bihari Bose. With the Japanese monetary, political, and diplomatic and military assistance, he formed the Azad Hind government in exile on 21st October 1943. Sorry. I would request all of you to earmark this date, 21st October 1943, when the Indian government in exile was first formed, and celebrate wherever you are to remember Netaji. If you are in Delhi, you can go to the museum. If you are in Calcutta, you can go to Netaji's house in Elgin Road. If you are in Andaman, you can go. If you are in Imphal, Moirang, you can go and salute where Netaji's INA headquarters was there. Whatever way you wish, you can celebrate 21st October and make it a calendar marked red letter day. And then he regrouped and led the Indian National Army all along the Second World War up to Kohima and Manipur. Along with the Japanese army, they brought independence to Andaman Nicobar Islands on 30th first national flag was hoisted in Andaman on 29th of December 1943 and came all the way to Manipur in India. Now I hand over the session for the next story will be brought to you by Mr. Shubhajit Chaudhary from IIT Guwahati. Jai Hind.
थैंक यू सो मच फॉर योर प्रीशियस वर्ड्स। और हम धन्यवाद करना चाहते हैं कर्नल कुणाल भट्टाचार्य जी का, जिन्होंने हमें नेताजी सुभाष चंद्र बोस के बारे में इतनी सारी जानकारी दी और उनकी सबमरीन यात्रा के बारे में इतना कुछ बताया। मित्रों, अगर आपके मन में कोई भी प्रश्न है और आप कोई प्रश्न पूछना चाहते हैं कर्नल कुणाल भट्टाचार्य से, तो आप अपने प्रश्न पूछ सकते हैं। बस आपसे इतना ही अनुरोध है कि जब आप अपना प्रश्न पूछें तो आप अपने माइक्रोफोन को ऑन करें, और जब ना पूछ रहे हो तो कृपया करके अपना माइक्रोफोन आप ऑफ रखें, जिससे कि हम आसानी से अपने प्रश्न पूछ सकें और आसानी से हमें उसके जवाब भी मिल पाए। तो अगर आपके मन में प्रश्न है, कृपया करके जरूर प्रश्न पूछें। मित्रों, उम्मीद करती हूँ कि आपके मन में कोई प्रश्न होगा, कोई जिज्ञासा होगी, तो जरूर आपके पास यहाँ पर मौका है, आप अपना प्रश्न पूछ सकते हैं कर्नल कुणाल भट्टाचार्य से।
सभी को नमस्कार। मैं राजेंद्र प्रसाद बदरपुर। मैं अयोध्या में एक जो है बंगाली आश्रम में नेताजी के बारे में हमें वहाँ जो है बताया गया था, ऐसा कि वहाँ नेताजी रहते थे, और मैं गया था वहाँ किसी सैनिक के थ्रू और मिला भी था उनसे, मतलब उनके दर्शन भी किए। तो क्या ये सच है जो वहाँ काफी कुछ कई बक्सों में मिला था? इसके बारे में थोड़ा सा क्लेरिफिकेशन होना चाहिए।
हमको सभी को मालूम है जे 18 अगस्त 1945 ताइपे में एयर एक्सीडेंट में नेताजी का डेथ हुआ था, लेकिन इसके बारे में काफी स्टोरीज है जे नेताजी उस एक्सीडेंट में मरा नहीं। ताइपे में कोई एक्सीडेंट हुआ ही नहीं था 18 अगस्त को। उसके बाद वो जो जापान का सांकोजी मॉट में जो एशेस रखा गया है उसका डीएनए टेस्ट करना था, वो भी नहीं हुआ जो वो नेताजी का है क्या नहीं। इसके बाद बहुत स्टोरी आया है जो नेताजी रशिया चले गए थे, वहां पे था, और वहां पे साइबेरिया में उनका देहांत हुआ था। और एक जो स्टोरी आपने अभी बताया वो स्टोरी बहुत गुमनाम बाबा करके नाम था।
जी जी जी।
तो गुमनाम बाबा करके उनके पास काफी डॉक्यूमेंट्स था, जो क्या नेताजी का पर्टिकुलर वॉच, चश्मा, उसका मदर्स लेटर एक्सेट्रा। बट वो शायद पॉलिटिकल वजह से या जो भी है, उसको हमने परस्यू नहीं किया और वो और एक मिस्ट्री बन के रह गया। इसके ऊपर मैं और कुछ बता नहीं सकता हूं, क्योंकि ये सब स्टोरी है, मतलब इसका कोई हमने प्रूफ नहीं कर पाया। जो भी है कोई पॉलिटिकल लीडर होगा, क्योंकि जवाहरलाल नेहरू वाज नॉट कीन दैट नेताजी शुड कम बैक बिकॉज ही वाज सो पॉपुलर। एंड इंडियंस, आपको मालूम है, सभी आदमी लड़ाई को सबसे, योद्धा को सबसे ज्यादा रेस्पेक्ट करता है। राम को हमने पूछते हैं, लक्ष्मण को या भरत को नहीं। सो महाभारत में भी आप देखे होंगे, जो अर्जुन इज द हीरो, नॉट युधिष्ठिर। सो इंडियन साइकोलॉजी में लड़ाई जो जीता है वही सिकंदर हम मानते हैं,
बोला जाता है।
इसीलिए मैं इधर ही आपको ये सवाल छोड़ देता हूँ।
ठीक है, ठीक है।
Well, Acharya, this is Professor Bhavesh Sarkar from Dhanbad. It's not a question, but my observation is that what was the feeling of, when he was traveling for 88 days? My only query which comes in my mind is that did he ever fall ill during those 88 days? There was some story about it.
Yes, as I told you, Dr. Sarkar, it was confined, and except for refueling and diesel charging, it was underwater. And as I told you, that Abid Hassan has written that it was diesel fume smelling, and he got sick, and he was seasick, vomiting, etc. But his main aim was to reach
Germany
and eastern region. So that motivated him to stay inside and accept all those problems and physical problems.
Only one
Yes.
more. Only one more query. After he had reached Germany, for the purpose that he had gone, I hope he had fulfilled his promises.
No, Germany, he was expecting Hitler will support him.
Correct.
But Hitler was not supporting him in liberation physically, because Hitler had another plan of occupying Europe first. So he attacked Russia, and he told Netaji that it is not possible for the German soldiers to invade India, going through so many countries and so many terrains, and Gulf, and then Iran, then Afghanistan. It was difficult, so he was not very keen. So that is why, in fact, Hitler advised him that we will arrange a submarine and you can go to Japan.
Thank you. Thank you.
जी, बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद देना चाहेंगे हम अपने मित्रों का जो उन्होंने प्रश्न पूछे, और धन्यवाद देना चाहेंगे कर्नल कुणाल भट्टाचार्य का। अब हम आमंत्रित करना चाहेंगे डॉक्टर सुभजीत चौधरी जी का, जो भारतीय प्रौद्योगिकी संस्थान गुवाहाटी में कार्यरत है और नित्य प्रति इतिहास में अपनी रुचि दिखाते हैं, इतिहास के लिए कार्य करते हैं। इनके माध्यम से हम नेताजी, आजाद हिंद फौज एंड फ्रीडम मूवमेंट, इट्स रेलेवेंस फॉर मेकिंग भारत एज विश्व गुरु, इस विषय पर चर्चा करने जा रहे हैं। तो हम हार्दिक अभिनंदन करना चाहेंगे डॉक्टर सुभजीत चौधरी का।
नमस्कार। Respected Professor J.B. Nadda, Director CEC, Professor Avinash Chandra Pandey ji, Director IUSC, and other dignitaries, and respected Kunal Bhattacharya ji, and all together, again I pay my pranam from the core of my heart. Am I audible, madam?
Yes, sir, absolutely.
Yes. So prior to go to the main topic, my topic, it has a link, it has some sort of fractions. First of all, I would like to say the architect of INA, that is Damodar Bir Savarkar, Vinayak Damodar Bir Savarkar. And then I will try to speak, short, the contribution of Netaji and his visit in Assam. And then I will also try to say a few words about whatever Kunal Bhattacharya ji already narrated. I have some photographs, how he met Tojo, how he met the German consulate, and then how he took the snap while de-embarking at Sabang Island, taking photograph with all entire crew. And then I will share a few my experiences with the INA veterans from Nagaland, and INA veterans in last week I met in Churachandpur in Imphal, near Imphal. So, and then I will tell how INA can contribute to make or to become Bharat as a Viswaguru, which recently we are dreaming of. Okay. So again, I'm just, if I'm, I'm not an expert in this area, but I'm a learner, and you can say that I'm a student of Itihas. So I may, during the research, some, some sort of figure, maybe here and there, this need to be reinvestigated further. So to start with, I would like to say the architect of INA, which I would like to refer, that Savarkar. In 21st June 1940, a meeting held at Dadar at Savarkar's residence, where he advised, rather discussed, that he should leave India, and how this thought of making this INA, and that the more the youngsters should join British Army. So when the times come, they will be changed into, and there will be concept that way. This INA has started, and then the thought of Savarkar been materialized, and by Netaji and Raj Bihari Bose. So that is there very much in the two great Indians in Japan by Uki Kajo Sukuru Sawa, a Japanese author. He mentions that it was the private and personal meeting between Netaji Subhash Babu and Savarkar at Savarkar Sadan, Bombay. That was the definite suggestion was made to Subhash Basu by Savarkar that he should try to leave India and undertake the risk of going over to Germany to organize the Indian forces there, fallen in German hands as captives, and then with the German help should proceed to Japan to join hands with Sri Raj Bihari Bose. So that way, the concept I already wrote a paper which I named it Architect of INA, Veer Savarkar, then Raj Bihari Bose and Netaji. The glimpse of INA in Uttar Purba Bharat. That was my research paper. So there also I mentioned this. And then coming to this Assam, he visited Assam when he was the president of Indian National Congress, because that time by the act of Provincial Act 1935, Indian Provincial Act, out of that Assam province, there is a prime minister, Sayadullah, Sir Sayadullah. So, and there is a lot of migration from Bangladesh, precisely this Moimen Singh Muslim, and it was flooded. And you may recall that British had to follow this line system because of the threat of the Bangladeshi Muslims at that time itself. So, keeping in view, when Sadullah became the first prime minister of Assam province, all the leaders, Congress leaders, were under threat. So they contacted Netaji, and Netaji accordingly came to Assam, and there he inspected the entire phenomena and suggested that in order to protect the locals, the government should be formed by the locals only, precisely the locals over here. Accordingly, that time there is a division between the various communities. Then Netaji said that whatever you do to Navin Bardoloi, Gopinath Bardoloi and D. Sharma, that whatever way you have to make alliance with all the communities, precisely the tribal people. And accordingly, they made the effort, and which Netaji closely followed. And that is why in 21st of September 1938, Lokopriyo Gopinath Bardoloi became the first prime minister of the then Assam province. And that way, people and the researchers say that Assam is saved from the annexation of Bangladesh as well as the Bangladeshi Muslims. Anyway, that is one aspect. And realizing that when this Quit India movement took place, and there is a decision that all the provincial government will have to surrender, but Netaji again suggested Gopinath Bardoloi not to quit. That Gandhiji in one place, he wrote that in 1939, when there is a question of giving up the ministry, Subhash Basu opposed to it, as he thought Assam was a special case. I told Bardoloi that there was much in what Subhash Basu had said, and although I was the author of the scheme of boycott, I said Assam should not come out if it didn't feel like it. Both Assam did come out. I was wrong. So this was the quote made by Gandhiji. So that way, it has a greater impact of his visit. I mean, Netaji's visit to Assam. That is why Assam is saved from that sort of threat, as felt by Navin Bardoloi and Gopinath Bardoloi and other leaders that time. So, being an Assamese from Assam, I actually give a great salute to him and remembering him. Second, now this is a very important event, so I would like to mention, that is why I mentioned. Now I would like to share some slides of okay, sharing is disabled. Host disable the participant sharing slides. Madam,
So kindly share your screen.
I'm sharing this host disable participant screen sharing. It is showing here. It is not allowing to share. Anyway, so the pictures actually which is there, that how he met with whom, Nazi Foreign Affairs Minister von Ribbentrop and Heinrich Himmler. That image is there. And then how he met Adolf Hitler, that is also there. And then the photograph which Netaji took on 26th May today, 1943, when he was just debarking from the that I-20, as mentioned by Kunal Bhattacharya, that is also there. but I'm not able to share it. It is not, I mean, sharing is not allowed here. I don't know.
It's not possible, you may give more insight about Netaji's vision, his dreams, how they come true.
Yeah, that's what I'm coming to it. Anyway, so as during the process, I mean, I'm covering this the journey. I mean, a short that when he was in, and one asked that the condition of his health, he became very thin in these 88 days, as mentioned in various books. And there is a very limited sort of food. Only 3-4 times only he could had khichdi as food. Otherwise, they have very limited. And the way the transfer was done, it was very crucial. Already these are mentioned. And the way he has planned, also told, already covered by Bhattacharya. But now what I would like to say, of course, all these are in actually PowerPoint, but it is not showing. So then coming to again Uttar Purba Bharat, there is a narrative that in INA, precisely in Assam, I mean, one of the part of undivided part of Assam, that there is a less participation of people from here. And that is also wrong. When I see the stories, and I could locate that there are 19 rail derailment took place in Assam. And all these rail derailment has a link to these, while transporting the Anglo-American troops to the Nagaland, that is Kohima. So these 19 rail derailment, if we study properly, one I have taken as an example, which is near to 30 kilometers from here, from Guwahati. Still that bogie is there, where 737 Anglo troops were died, but only reported 5. So again, these narratives and making this effort of INA, which is always in inferior. So the contributions through and through of these localites were much more prominent. And another tool of disseminating information amongst each and everyone was pamphlet. I mean, it's a small sort of paper where in different languages that were also planned during his journey. So accordingly, one of the INA soldiers from Assam, Umesh Chandra Deva Chaudhary, he was a cartographer, as well as he was a translator, was very much associated with Netaji, who was a lieutenant who used to translate the various informations of Netaji from Bangla to Assamia. And those pamphlets were there, or monographs you can say, and these are there still in few of the villages of Assam. So that way, this was the tool of disseminating informations of Netaji's policy or INS policy. So he was there in Red Fort, where the trial was took place. This Umesh Chandra Deva Chaudhary, whom I have interacted with him. Now he is no more there, of course. Then I also would like to share that Netaji stayed around 9 days in Rujazu village of Nagaland, where now there are 8 INA out of 900 few numbers, 62 numbers INA soldiers from Nagaland of that area. So 9 are there, which I interviewed. One is Posu E. Souro, who is now 102 years old. And then there are others. Posuri Suru was a DB, and Dovhashi, as well as interpreter. And then Pulesu Sapu, who is now 99 years old. He belongs to Rujazu village, where in Fake district of Nagaland. And then again, Chekrol Suro, he is also there. Now he is 92 years old. And then Mr. Thupka Sup, Ruzazu village. And another person, Shevi Venu, from Khuja village, sorry. And Lutsoi Chozu, he is 96, is from Fake town. Then likewise, there are 8, and then Vei Ketu Kiso, he is 100 years old. So that way, these INA veteran are still alive in Nagaland, and their interview were taken. And then recently, I had visited Churachandpur, where Kuki community, the participation from Kuki community were studied, and out of them, there are 8 are alive. Their photograph also I had taken, but it is not possible because screen share is not possible. Out of 8, one was with in conversation. He said that how he lost his one finger during war, and also he felt that he should be given the salary more than an IS officer, but he is getting only pension, very little money. So that way, altogether, the Kuki contributions and these contributions from Nagaland. Why I have targeted these 2 community? Because there are more separate sort of views amongst these people who are there. The reason is very simple, because most of them are INA veterans and they were duly not recognized. As a result, it is an internal become a separate sort of concept has developed. So to bridge that, we thought, and it is our duty to bring into the mainstream of the history of India. So that way, my small effort towards the study of these INA veterans, I used to do, and that way I have done. Now, all together,
thank you so much. We are short of time over here, but you have given a deep insight, and there is a lot more to learn from you about Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose. Thank you so much to you for giving a precious time and for your kind words too. And we are looking forward in future. We may connect to you again and would learn more. Jai Hind, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
तो ये थे हमारे साथ डॉक्टर सुभाजीत चौधरी, जिनसे हमने नेताजी के बारे में ज्यादा से ज्यादा जानकारी अर्जित की। उम्मीद करती हूँ आप इस जानकारी को आत्मसात करेंगे, जन जन तक पहुंचाएंगे, नेताजी के कार्यों को आपने समझा और अपनी सहभागिता यहाँ पर निभाई। इसके लिए हम धन्यवाद देना चाहते हैं। और मैं निवेदन करना चाहती हूँ विजय पटेल जी से, जो कनिष्ठ अभियंता हैं IUAC में, कि आप धन्यवाद दे हमें इस कार्यक्रम को पूर्ण करने की यहाँ पे अनुमति दें और हमारा सहयोग करें।
नमस्कार
जी,
क्या आवाज आ रही है?
जी, आपकी आवाज आ रही है सर। आप कुछ शब्दों में आज के इस कार्यक्रम को समापन करने में हमारी मदद करें, आपसे अनुरोध है।
जी बहुत धन्यवाद। जय हिंद। सबसे पहले शैक्षिक संचार संकाय और अंतर विश्वविद्यालय त्वरक केंद्र के दोनों निदेशक महोदय का हृदय से धन्यवाद करते हैं, जिन्होंने इस कार्यक्रम करने के लिए आशीर्वाद दिया। साथ में शैक्षिक संचार संकाय की जो तकनीकी टीम है, जिनके सफल प्रयास से आज हम व्यास चैनल और यूट्यूब चैनल पर भी जूम के साथ साथ देख पा रहे हैं। इस कार्यक्रम में हम देखेंगे कि न केवल भारत के कई प्रांतों से, परंतु दक्षिण पूर्व एशिया के विशेष रूप में थाईलैंड, सिंगापुर, मलेशिया, साथ में जर्मनी से भी कुछ दर्शक शुरू से ही जुड़े हैं, बड़े उत्साह से जुड़े हैं। हम उनका हृदय से धन्यवाद करते हैं। साथ में जिसके कारण आज हम इकट्ठे हुए हैं, ऐसे वीर सपूत राष्ट्र नायक नेताजी सुभाष चंद्र बोस के परिजन, हम जानते हैं कि उनकी पुत्री जर्मनी में है और इनका जो बृहद परिवार है देश विदेश में फैला हुआ है, और उनके सहित उन सभी 75,000 वीर वीरांगना सैनिक के माता पिताओं को भी हम धन्यवाद करना चाहते हैं कि आज उनके वीर वीरांगना पुत्र और पुत्रियों के कारण आज हम स्वतंत्र भारत में अच्छे से सांस ले रहे हैं। और जैसा अभी बताया दोनों वक्ताओं ने कि भारत विश्वगुरु की तरफ बढ़ रहा है, तो कहीं ना कहीं ऐसे वीर और वीरांगना जवानों का भी हम धन्यवाद करते हैं। आज के अपने दोनों वक्ताओं ने भी दोनों अलग अलग पहलुओं के माध्यम से हम सभी को याद करवाया। उसके लिए हम दोनों वक्ताओं का कर्नल कुणाल जी और प्रोफेसर सुभाषजीत चौधरी जी का धन्यवाद करते हैं। और इस कार्यक्रम में कई सारी सैनिक संस्था के अधिकारी भी जुड़े हैं, ऐसे हम देख रहे हैं कर्नल त्यागी जी भी जुड़े हैं। ऐसे कई लोगों का हम धन्यवाद करते हैं और आशा करते हैं कि सुभाष बाबू ने जो आत्मबोध और स्वयं दायित्व निर्वहन करते हुए दायित्व बोध का पूर्ण समर्पण के साथ हमारे सामने एक जीवंत उदाहरण दिया है, उसको लेकर हम अविभाजित भारत को पुनः प्रतिष्ठित करने में हमें शक्ति मिलेगी। हम उस दिशा में आगे बढ़ेंगे। इतना ही कह के वाणी को विराम करता हूं। पुनः एक बार भारत और संसार से जुड़े सभी, चाहे मणिपुर हो, अंडमान हो, देश भर के कोने कोने से जुड़े हैं, उन सबका हृदय से धन्यवाद करते हुए सीसी के सभी लोगों का और धन्यवाद करते हैं। जय हिंद।
जय हिंद जी, जय हिंद
जी। बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद विजय पटेल
जय
जी
हिंद।
आपका। और शैक्षिक संचार संकाय एवं अंतर विश्वविद्यालय त्वरक केंद्र की ओर से आप सभी गुणीजनों का हम आभार व्यक्त करना चाहते हैं कि आपने अपनी सहभागिता निभाई और यहाँ हमारे साथ जुड़े रहे। नेताजी के बारे में आपने विस्तृत जानकारी अर्जित की, आत्मसात की, जन जन तक आप पहुंचाएंगे, इस बात की हम उम्मीद करते हैं। और इसी प्रकार के अन्य कार्यक्रम भी हम आपके लिए लेकर आएंगे। हमारे साथ जुड़ने के लिए आप सभी मित्रों का हम फिर से आभार व्यक्त करना चाहेंगे। बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद। जय हिंद।
जय हिंद,
जय।
सबको जय हिंद।